this is very definitely the big one, the British Grand Prix. With the weather looking good for the 76-lap, 199-mile race, everyone's savouring the prospect of another round of the season-long battle between the French Ligier and the British Williams cars. For once again, they're dominating the starting grid after 2 days of record-shattering practice. In pole position, a Ligier, Didier Pironi's, ahead of his teammate Jacques Laffite. Third, Alan Jones's Williams, a whisker ahead of his teammate Carlos Reutemann. So the winners of 5 1980 Grand Prix are in the first 2 rows. So coming up now to the start line, in pole position in the white helmet and in the blue and white Ligier car, Didier Pironi, fastest in practice. Just behind him, Jacques Laffite, 24 competitors, 76 laps, 199 miles. Alan Jones leading the World Championship just to the extreme left of your picture, the white and green Saudi Leyland Williams car. Then to his right is Carlos Reutemann, and we are waiting for the start. Pironi away. Alan Jones is trying to get through on the inside of Laffite, and they bump wheels, but Alan Jones eases off. Laffite holds the second position. Jones is in third as they go up to Druids. Carlos Reutemann in fourth place. Everybody has got away cleanly. A surge of cars, and Pironi has already got about 10 car lengths, and Alan Jones is trying again as they go into Surtees to take Jacques Laffite, and failing in the process. Now down to Pilgrim's Drop as we go round Surtees with the midfield men. Pilgrim's Drop and up to Hawthorns. Pironi is leading, then Laffite, then Alan Jones in third place, and Nelson Piquet in the Brabham in fourth position, and Jones challenging again. He's pushing Laffite all the time round the circuit.
Yes, Alan Jones is really in a big hurry. Here he is again trying to get past Laffite. He doesn't want Pironi to get away. You saw he was really trying to force through on the inside of the first corner. He's trying at every corner, and that's well worth watching.
Down into clearways. There's Laffite in second position, Jones behind him. Then Nelson Piquet, and over the line, completing lap 1 goes Pironi.
Well, I think Alan Jones, you're going to see putting a lot of pressure on that man you're looking at right now, Jacques Laffite. I think that Alan Jones, in fact, is faster than Laffite, although Laffite now has got himself a little bit of an advantage. He's not using all of the road going into Druids there because he knew Alan Jones would try and get up in the inside. In the meantime, Alan Jones has lost a little bit of time because you see Nelson Piquet, the third car in your picture going through there, has closed up on Alan Jones. I think you're going to see Alan Jones regrouping his energies again and making another attempt at Jacques Laffite.
In 6th and 7th positions, the 2 Alfa Romeos, and Didier Pironi on the second lap already has a lead of just over 2 seconds, a considerable gap at this stage of the race. They're the second, Laffite. Third, Jones. Fourth, Piquet. Then Reutemann. Then in 6th position, Depailler and Giacomelli.
Very impressive that you've got Didier Pironi pulling away such a big advantage from Jacques Laffite, his own teammate, then Alan Jones, and then the car of Nelson Piquet. A question of a cool driver with a cool head being able to take advantage of his car, which is obviously a little bit faster than the opposition. And look at the lead that he has coming through this pit lane. That's the second car you're looking at, Jacques Laffite. Then Alan Jones, that blue, white and green car there, and then the car of Nelson Piquet. Quite an advantage they've opened up.
Pironi, one of the new generation of drivers, and look at the lead that he has got now, because as he goes on his way towards Surtees, he is 2.5 seconds ahead of this battle for third position, and it's still in second place as they go round Surtees and away from us. There's Pironi, there is Laffite underneath the bridge. Laffite pulling away a bit from Alan Jones, who has got Nelson Piquet in the Brabham Ford right behind him. Now they are up to Dingledale Corner. The battle in the race at the moment is for third position. And that is Jean-Pierre Jabouille, undoubtedly the most unlucky man in Grand Prix racing. He is out at exactly the same point where Mario Andretti went out in 1978, and Jean-Pierre Jabouille, who has yet to finish a Grand Prix in 1980, is out of the race again. And that is Alain Prost, number 8, the French driver who started off the season so magnificently in his McLaren. And 6th position in the Argentine, 5th in Brazil, into the race for a tyre change. Very, very early on, that for a tyre change. Probably not to be expected because the McLarens have not been having tyre trouble. Did you expect a tyre change as quickly as that, Jackie?
No, he must have a problem here, and there you see the leaders coming through, passing the slower cars. That's Alain Prost, who's just been in the pits. He's got new tyres on, so he obviously is not having his car handled very well. Hopefully he'll let the leaders through without any encumbrance at all. He must have had a trouble with his tyres. His tyres must have gone off, or he had a pressure going down. Maybe one tyre could have been going down and he wasn't sure, or he wasn't sure of whether he had a situation with a mishandling car and he felt tyres were the easiest way around it. It's really a question of trying to interpret what's going on.
And that is Giacomelli, Bruno Giacomelli, 6th fastest in practice in the Alfa Romeo. Now this is very significant because all the cars that we have seen going into the pits so far have been on the same type of tyre. And that means to say that the McLaren has had tyre trouble, that's Alain Prost. Now Giacomelli in the Alfa Romeo has had tyre trouble and has had to go in and change seemingly front tyres. So Giacomelli has gone in and changed his front tyre.
Yes, well, I think, from what I saw, I thought Giacomelli changed all 4 then, Murray, which if front tyres are people's troubles, that would not be a sensible thing to do, because you'll just have the same problem of wearing his fronts out again. But Prost, and Laffite has just taken the lead. Pironi must have slowed down. With just leaders coming to the site now, and that is Laffite having just taken over from Pironi. I suspect Pironi must be in some sort of trouble. Now maybe it's tyre trouble. Pironi slowed right down. He's got some sort of mechanical bother there. Yes, he's got a wheel loose.
And it looks like the same trouble that he had in Spain. If you remember, a wheel nut came off in Spain, and Didier Pironi's car was jinking in Spain, just as it is doing here. It's a tyre, it's a front tyre. The left front tyre has been punctured, and Didier Pironi has lost the lead to Laffite, and is soon going to lose 2nd and 3rd places.
And there you see a man who's got to be very gentle now. He's got to nurse the car back to the pits. There's no good of him going too fast. We've seen that happen before. We saw it happen in the Dutch Grand Prix with Gilles Villeneuve. If he goes too fast, the car will overheat. It'll come off the rim. He will then definitely damage his car. Look at it's beginning to break up already. A very delicate balance here he's got to work with. He's, remember, very important to him is the World Championship. If rain were to arrive in this race, it could change the whole character of the race, so it's desperately important that he brings the car back in good condition to the pits, because if the tyre comes off the rim and he's in the pit lane right now, the suspension would be damaged, he would be unable to compete, and here he's trying to slow down, get into the pits. Now a fast pit stop, tremendously important for him, keeping the engine running, getting the front up, the right-hand side getting changed. They're changing them both now. They're changing all 4 wheels, which would be sensible, because he would start in cool rubber and fresh rubber, and he may as well take advantage of that as long as his mechanics don't screw up, so to speak, with regards to the wheel change. Tremendously important at this time. Didi there in communication. He's not quite sure what he's doing.
And that's still 30 seconds. That's a very long pit stop indeed by modern standards, because a really quick team can change all 4 wheels and tyres. And Eddie Cheever out of the race again. I say again because Eddie Cheever, like Pironi, has the most appalling luck. Didier Pironi, the seconds ticking away. He's out of the race effectively now, because it looks to me as though they've got trouble at the back. Now Didier Pironi was leading at Monaco, out he goes, and that's about a 50-second pit stop, and that's a very, very long stop indeed. Didier Pironi, who led at Monaco and who led at Spain, led at this race, out.
Yes, I'm afraid they've made a terrible cock-up of that pit stop. They did it all wrong. They should never have changed all 4 tyres. They were correct to change both fronts, because that gives you a matched pair to go out on. He had one flat front. But for every wheel that you change, well, as we watch the feet now confirmed in a nice steady lead, for every wheel you change, you take a risk of one getting stuck on, so you change as few as you can. And added to that, Pironi appeared, from his gesticulations in the car, it looked to me as if he'd stalled the engine, which is frankly a driver error in that situation. I may be maligning him, but he seemed to be waving that he wanted the engine restarted, so presumably he stalled.
Well, now, in the excitement, let us recap the situation that exists now. We are on lap 21. There is a new leader, and it is that man, Jacques Laffite, in the Ligier. Behind him in second position, a new second-place man, Alan Jones in the Saudi Leyland Williams. And in third position, behind Alan Jones, is Nelson Piquet. And the gap between Jacques Laffite, the leader, and Alan Jones in second position is 8.66 seconds. Then in fourth, there is Villeneuve, Gilles Villeneuve, the Ferrari driver, and I suspect he will have tyre trouble as well, because all through practice the Ferraris were in tyre trouble. Let's see whether it is or not. The tyre jacks are being prepared. Jackie?
No, he's got a mechanical problem. That's not a tyre problem for him. He was coming in too slowly. It wasn't a big rush job. I think you'll find that there's something, they're taking the engine compartment cover off. Gilles Villeneuve was not in a hurry to come into the pits. I'm sure he's sure that there is something wrong with the car mechanically. He's not getting out of the car, however. He's having it checked. Quite a lot of time being wasted. 12-cylinder Ferrari. It looks like they're working on the ignition right now. It could be that.
And on lap 22, the order is Jacques Laffite leading Alan Jones. In third position now is Nelson Piquet. In fourth position is Carlos Reutemann in the Williams. In fifth position is Derek Daly. And behind Derek Daly in sixth position is Patrick Depailler. And it's Patrick Depailler, the Frenchman, who drove for Ligier last year, broke his two legs in a hang gliding accident last year, lost his place in the Ligier team, and is now with Alfa Romeo. And he was well up in sixth position. And the leader, Jacques Laffite, has lapped everybody up to the eighth position man, John Watson. And it's Jacques Laffite that we're looking at now, going round Graham Hill Bend, now up to Surtees. From Surtees, the left-hander there, which is a third gear corner. These ground effect cars, and when we get close into a car, look at the side of it, and you will see that between the front and the rear wheels, there is a sliding section which literally drags along the road and creates a vacuum effect underneath the car. And there was a puff of smoke of some kind from Laffite's car. It was either... and it's a tyre. Jacques Laffite's left rear tyre has gone. That puff of smoke was a puncture. And just as Didier Pironi had a puncture when he was in the lead, so Jacques Laffite has had one. So, Laffite in trouble. He's going to be coming into the pits. No, he's not. He's going through. So, does that mean he's... It looked incredibly like a puncture. Jackie Stewart, did you think he had punctured as he went round? Yes, look at that.
He's got a problem. I'm not quite sure. Let's keep an eye on it with this, and we can look at that rear wheel as he goes round there. It looks like there is a tyre problem because you can see a different colour within the width of the tyre. You can see that it's beginning to handle badly. The car's darting. You'll see the driver beginning to move the car around on the road a little bit, trying to get the car to interpret what's wrong for him. He'll try and get the feel of it. He'll be looking in his mirror right now. He'll be looking to see if the profile of his rear wheel and tyre are still good. Now look at it now, it's smoking even more now. He's got a big, look at him looking in the mirror. You could see his head dodging over there to look at that left rear wheel to see if the profile is right, because if it's a tyre problem, the profile goes into a concave shape. That's to say the center of the tyre goes down and allows him to see the tyre deflating. So he's got to interpret it. Is it a tyre for him? You can see it's coming away from the rim. In fact, if you look at it now, you see it's coming away from the rim. That means the tyre is going down, but he still hasn't come into the pits because he hasn't interpreted it. Maybe he hasn't got the tyre problem.
Well, whatever it is, it's incredible because Alan Jones is in second place and we're soon probably going to see a change. James.
Yeah, Jackie, with the greatest respect, you showed your age there, because the modern-day car, you can't see the rear tyre in the mirror with all that bodywork in the way. And that is one of the problems. When I started, in Jackie's day, you could see the rear tyre in the mirror, and you can't anymore. But Jack Laffite has been very slow to interpret the problem, and Jones is closing right up on him now. And I think Laffite will rue the day that he didn't get into the pits quickly and change that tyre.
And that was Alan Jones. We are there now. Now he is in real trouble. That is it. And Laffite goes off and through the catch fencing and into the tyres. And he's all right. But we have a new British Grand Prix leader. And it is Alan Jones. The crowd will go absolutely berserk when Alan Jones goes through.
Well, I'm afraid that driver is going to be very annoyed with himself because Jack must have felt that. He should have known better. I'm afraid as a driver, I have to interpret it in that fashion. You can see how angry he is. It's been happening for 2 or 3 laps. There is an incensed man. I drove the Tyrrell yesterday. In fact, James, in some cars you can still see the rear tyres as you can in the Tyrrell. I don't know if the Ligier where you can see the rear tyres, but there are still some race cars around that can do that. But Alan Jones leads the race now, but certainly an angry man is Jack Laffite.
Alan Jones leads the British Grand Prix on lap 32 out of 76. And as I said, the British crowd, and you can see them now waving their programmes all round the course. Alan Jones, the man who won in the Argentine, the man who won in Spain unofficially. Well, he won officially, but he didn't get World Championship points for it. The man who won in France is leading the British Grand Prix and on his way to another 9 points, which would really help his World Championship situation. But whilst I say Alan Jones is leading, it is on lap 32, and he passes Mark Surer there, the Swiss driver in the ATS, and laps him. And Alan Jones is now leading, and Piquet, there is Piquet behind him in second position. So Nelson Piquet, number 5 in the Parmalat Brabham Ford, is closing up on Mark Surer. He has to lap him, and it'll be interesting to take the time gap between Alan Jones as he crosses the line now and Nelson Piquet who crosses the line now, and it is 2.79 seconds. Remember that time, it is going to be very critical. And there is the Ferrari of Gilles Villeneuve, who again has had a terrible race. Jody Scheckter, his teammate, qualified 23rd out of 24, and there is the parked 12-cylinder Ferrari of the brilliant French-Canadian Gilles Villeneuve out of the race, and Jody Scheckter is nowhere to be seen in a position that matters. He was lapped a long time ago. Jody Scheckter last but one, and there he is in the background. So as Alan Jones comes out of Druids at the top of Halewood Rise, the gap between himself and Nelson Piquet, who is just rounding the corner now, is going up all the time. Jones is definitely pulling away from Nelson Piquet, and that is Bruno Giacomelli, the Italian, who has clearly spun. You can see the grass on the tarmac, and so car number 23, the 12-cylinder Alfa Romeo, is out of the race, as is Giacomelli, who qualified in an excellent 6th position. And now in 4th position, Derek Daly, the Irish driver who lives in Monte Carlo, the man who, like so many of today's drivers, has come up by way of Formula 3. He was the BP Formula 3 champion in 1977, and he has since driven in Formula 1 for Ensign, for Hesketh, and now the Tyrrell team. Piquet ahead of Andretti, and Jarier going through and trying to take Andretti at Druids and failing to do so. I remind you that Mario Andretti is in 5th position, and past him goes Jean-Pierre Jarier up into 5th place, and a new 6th place man that we're looking at, ex-world, and that that's car number 25, Pironi. Pironi back into the race.
Well, Mario Andretti, the man who thought that at last his luck had changed, has come into the pits. They thought for a tyre problem, but now they're looking at the back of the car. Certainly a problem, the gearbox. It isn't what they thought, just a pure tyre change. Mario's staying in the car.
Now, coming down from Druids and into the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, there is Carlos Reutemann and Jarier in front of him. There is Reutemann, the Argentine driver, who is in third position.
Here we have another problem. It looks like Didi Pironi once again it looks like he's got another puncture. He's pulling off of the racetrack. He, of course, had been into the pits earlier for a very long pit stop, again for tyre trouble. Ironically, he, it seems, had picked up a puncture the last time. This time it is the end of the day. He's taking his gloves off. I'm afraid he's going to be closing the office for the day.
Well, Alan Jones needs the luck now for another 2.6 miles because he is on the 76th and last lap. He has taken Paddock Bend for the last time. He has climbed Halewood Rise for the last time and is rounding Druids for the last time. Look at the skill of a possible world champion on his last lap. Alan Jones with Rupert Keegan in Alan's last year, Williams ahead of him. And I imagine that even if he catches Keegan, he will back off and not take any chances about being punted off the circuit accidentally in the very closing stages. Keegan, there goes Jones, down to Stirling's. He now only has to go into Clearways, and when he gets there, he could certainly kick the clutch out if necessary and coast home to win his third Grand Prix in succession, to increase his World Championship lead and to do what he wanted to do, beat the French, and Theo Jones has done it. The crowd rises, and Alan Jones from Australia in the British Saudia Williams has won the Grand Prix. Piquet crosses the line in second position, and Carlos Reutemann very close to Piquet. There's Piquet, and there you just caught a flash of Carlos Reutemann's car. So the Williams cars have again showed their reliability by finishing first and third. Piquet sandwiched between them in third position, and the enormous, biggest ever, I would suspect, Brands Hatch crowd have come to see a win for the Williams, and that's exactly what they've seen. And Alan Jones waving out of the cockpit. The crowd rises to give him the accolade that he deserves as he passes Pironi's car, the car which had led him in the opening stages of the race. Victory for Alan Jones. Well done, Alan Jones. 3 Grand Prix victories in a row, underlining his World Championship class, extending his World Championship lead. The victor in the first Grand Prix in the Argentine, the victor in the last Grand Prix in France, and the one before it in Spain. And it's a testimony not only to Alan and his smooth and reliable driving, but especially to the race preparation and the design of the car he drove, the Saudia Leyland Williams. And hopefully in a moment we're going to get a word with Alan Jones, who joins Barry Gill.
You've waited 12 months for this. How does it feel?
Fantastic.
Were there any times, Alan, when you thought you weren't going to get your revenge today?
Well, about every lap, I think. I must say the Ligiers were going very quick, and I don't know what happened to them, but I think Jacques had some suspension failure at Hawthorns, and I think Didier had a puncture or something, but it's my lucky day.
Didier seemed to set off a bit too quickly and wear a tyre out, and Jacques had a puncture. Were you nursing your tyres, Alan?
Well, I was trying to, but Nelson was there all the time, and I couldn't nurse them too much because he would have... I was trying to keep the gap fairly even if I could nurse them and then have a sprint and then nurse them, you know.
Alan, I must say it's a very different face from the face we saw this time last year.
Well, I feel fantastic.
And first and third for the team. Really?
Great. Fantastic.
And now, Alan, I've got to ask you the question, what about the World Championship? Third successive victory, even though one of them's a little dubious at the moment.
Well, I'm starting to feel a little bit more confident now, and I said to Frank, if I win today, I'll feel a lot happier about it, so that I do.
Alan, thanks for talking to us, and many congratulations. It's nice to see the new look Alan Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan Jones, a magnificent and very worthy victor of the British Grand Prix. Second, Nelson Piquet. Third, Jones's teammate, Reutemann. Alan Jones leads the World Championship now with 37 points, 6 points ahead of Nelson Piquet, who is 9 points ahead of the tie for third between Arnoux and Pironi. And in fifth position, but getting closer, Carlos Reutemann, the Argentine driver, and a great British Grand Prix.